So now let's look at if we have more than one step in our equations. So one thing to keep in mind is we want to get the variable terms on one side, constants on the other first, because we're trying to get that variable alone is the goal when we solve an equation. So 4n minus 2 is 6. So if I'm trying to get this n alone, think of it like I need to move that 4 and I need to move the minus 2. But that 4 is right attached with the n, so we need to move the minus 2 first. So since this is subtract 2, I'm going to do the opposite of subtraction and add 2 to both sides. So 4n equals 6 plus 2 is 8. And then since this is 4 times n, to move the 4, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So n equals 2. 8 divided by 4, 2. Okay, so this should be my answer. Let's do a check. We can always check our answers, which is nice. We can know if we got the right answer, as long as our checking is correct. So 4 times 2 minus 2 equals 6. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 2 is 6. Yep, as long as the two sides are equal, I'm good. Okay, so the next one, 6 minus 2x equals 16. So if we subtract 6 first, trying to get that x alone, so this, think of this as like a positive 6, I need to subtract it, even though there's, like I said, it's like the opposite operation. Whatever that minus 2x is, I'm adding 6. Or think of it like I need that 6 to go to 0, so 6 minus 6 is 0. So bring down the negative 2x, so because that sign goes with the 2. Okay, so be careful that whatever's in front goes with, whatever sign or operation is in front goes with it. So now since I have to subtract 6 on the right side as well, 16 minus 6 is 10. So now this is negative 2 times x. Since it's times, opposite operation is divide. Again, notice I'm not changing the sign, I'm changing the operation. And instead of multiplication of negative 2, I'm dividing by negative 2. So 10 divided by negative 2, 10 divided by negative 2, yep, negative 5. Let's check this one, because this one too, there's a lot of signs going on. 6 minus 2 times negative 5. 2 times negative 5, that's negative 10. Minus a negative is going to go to plus 10. 6 plus 10, yep, that checks out. Okay, next one, trying to get x alone here, and I've got a fraction. But I could first just add 1. You add 1 first. 8 plus 1 is 9. So 9 equals 3/4 x. Okay, I could look at this a few different ways. I mean, I can divide by 3/4. And you could probably, you could do that a couple different ways, change it to a decimal. The other way we can look at this, think of this like if it was, the x's could be put over 1. So it's like the x is on top. So if we want to do the opposite, we want to divide by 3 and we want to times by 4. We times by the reciprocal, like that, flipping, that will cancel everything out. Okay, and also remember, divided by 3/4, that's the same as times 4/3. I'm going to put that over 1. Times 4/3. These will cancel, these will cancel. So I've got 4 times 9 is 36 over 3, or we could have reduced. Either way though, I should get 12. Okay, and again, if you wanted to change that to 0.75, I mean, this one ends up being a nice number. Sometimes it gets a little messy with, if you have like a repeating decimal or something like that, but if you changed it to a decimal and divided, you'd get 12 that way too. Would have been actually probably a little easier. But I want to show that reciprocal because that's going to come up handy in our next problems. Okay, now, so that was kind of some generic equations. Now let's look at this with formulas. Okay, so we've done temperature problems before, but we've always used the formula that is easier to use. We had two formulas, like F equals equation or formula and a C equals formula. And we would pick which one would be easier. But let's look at how we could, if we only know one formula, we could figure these things out with the steps we've been doing. So let's say I only, for some reason, have handy the Fahrenheit formula. And I want to figure out the temperature in Celsius if Fahrenheit is 72. Okay, so if Fahrenheit's 72, I'm going to plug that in for F. So 72 equals 9C over 5 plus 32. So I'm trying to figure out what Celsius is. So now I'm going to use the steps we've been doing to try to get C alone. So first I'll subtract 32. So that's 40 equals 9C over 5. Okay, now I could multiply by 5 and divide by 9 or do it in one step, like we talked about in the last problem. Multiply by 5, divide by 9. Because then the 9s will cancel, the 5s will cancel, and I just get C equals, I'm just going to do, you use your fraction button, or 5 times 40 divided by 9. I think this one's going to be a decimal. 22.22 degrees Celsius. Or if you keep it as a fraction, it'd be 22 2/9. Either way, just on the homework, watch the directions, how they want it. Okay, one more. So here's a perimeter one. And normally what we've been doing, we know the length, we know the width, and we've been figuring out the perimeter when we've touched on this before. But let's say in this one, the perimeter around a sheet of metal needs to be 2,500 millimeters. The length is 325 millimeters, find the width. Okay, so now for P, I'm going to plug in 2,500 equals 2, the length is 325, so 2 times 325, and then I don't know the width. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So first I'm going to do 2 times 325 is 650. I'm going to bring everything else down. Keep everything lined up. So now I'm trying to get W alone. So I'm going to subtract 650 on both sides. So 2W equals 2,500 minus 650 is 1,850. And then divide by 2. 925. Okay, and I can always plug it in to check. I'm going to just my calculator. 2 times the length, 2 times 325, plus 2 times the width that we just got, 925. And my calculator is saying 2500. Yep. So I used then the perimeter formula to check it.